Yesterday, we began the show by talking about the many millionaire and billionaire celebrities who are being horrifically oppressed in this country. It's a big problem. Michelle Obama, principal among them, a woman who says, she fears walking down the street because of all the racist cops out there prowling around. She also says she was in line for ice cream once and a white woman cut in front of her accidentally. These are the kinds of deprivations and persecutions that she has suffered. Oprah, LeBron James, Meghan Markle, and others join her in the ranks of extraordinarily wealthy and powerful victims. But I feel a little embarrassed today because while listing all of the most prominent and profitable victims in America today, I somehow neglected to mention the greatest of them all, the man who will surely take center stage on the Mount Rushmore of self-victimizing millionaire brats. And that would be, of course, Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, a former NFL bench rider who decided to start protesting injustice at exactly the moment when his NFL career was going off the rails. Interesting timing. Then when he failed out of the league after a season where he went 1-10 as a starter, he started a new career as a professional activist. That career has been far more successful and profitable than his playing career by a large margin. He's had deals with Netflix, Nike, many other major companies, released his own shoe, gotten a book deal, a movie deal, and all the while, he's being hailed as a martyr for the cause. I mean, what cause exactly? Well, that was never made exactly clear. Originally, we were told that his kneeling during the anthem was a protest against police brutality, not against the flag itself or the country. But then a few years ago, Nike released a shoe or tried to release a shoe with an American flag on it, and Kaepernick complained. Because he didn't want there to be a shoe with a flag on it, and they recalled the shoe. Now, apparently, I guess he does have a problem with the flag itself. What could his problem possibly be? I mean, how could he hate a country that's made him rich and famous beyond the wildest dreams of normal people? And given him all this wealth and fame, despite the fact that he's produced nothing of value, or really nothing at all, and actually flunked out of his chosen field. How is that possible? Well, these are all good questions. And we have another chance to think about these questions now that Kaepernick is back in the news. Reading out from the Daily Wire, it says, as Tim Tebow awaits a possible one-year contract to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars, progressives on Twitter have excoriated the NFL for leaving former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick out in the cold. As the Daily Wire reported on Monday, Ian Rappaport of NFL Insider announced that Tebow stands on the cusp of signing with the Jacksonville Jaguars and reuniting with his former mentor. He's tweeted, quote, the Jaguars are planning to sign QB turned tight end Tim Tebow to a one-year deal. A deal that could be official in the next week or so. Nothing done yet, but he'll have a chance to make the team to reunite with his mentor and college head coach Urban Meyer. So it's a chance to make the team. He's not actually on the team yet. But back to the article, says Kaepernick fans, many of whom feel that the NFL blackballed him in response to his national anthem protests in the name of Black Lives Matter, did not welcome the news. Quote, interesting how the same people that are praising Tim Tebow for his values outside of football see Colin Kaepernick's values as a distraction. That according to Ahmed Ali. Another one says, there's no way you can tell me that Tim Tebow deserves to be on a team as an unproven tight end who hasn't played in 9 years more than Colin Kaepernick. There's just no way that's going to make sense. That according to David Dennis Jr. There was plenty more reactions along those lines, all from the usual suspects, including Jameel Hill and others, of course. Cory Booker, a noted NFL analyst, chimed in as well. Here's what he said.
People are saying, there's a little white privilege going on here. Tim Tebow has there's different standards for him.
I don't need to cast a shadow on Tim Tebow in order to point out the injustice of Colin Kaepernick. I mean, it's wrong. He was blackballed, and I don't need to push somebody else down in order to point that out. So I just know that he's gotten an awful deal. He is an extraordinary athlete. Who had his career sabotaged by people that were against him doing what some of the greatest athletes of all times, from Arthur Ashe to Muhammad Ali, have done, which is speak out against injustice.
Do you think Colin maybe should try a different position, or is it just you think it's more than just a position thing?
I think it has nothing to do with him. It has to do with the NFL and the decisions that were made.
Just perfect there in that video. Perfect timing as they're interviewing Cory Booker in, it looks like D.C., and a guy jogs by wearing a mask. Just absolutely perfect. These lunatics, these psychos. Anyway, these comparisons are all coming from people who either don't understand the game of football, probably the case for Cory Booker, or who are pretending not to understand. Tim Tebow will be attending training camp to try out for a different position where he will no doubt be a backup and get paid the minimum salary or close to it. So he just wants to play the game, and he's willing to do whatever it takes for a shot at playing the game. In contrast, Colin Kaepernick has shown no interest in playing at any position, let alone a less glamorous one as a backup for comparatively little money. In fact, 2 years ago, the NFL held a workout for Kaepernick in the middle of the 2019 season. 25 scouts attended. This was all unprecedented as far as I know. The NFL doesn't usually hold personal workouts for aging backup players in the middle of the season or at any other time of the year. They certainly didn't do that for Tim Tebow, I can tell you. But they did it for Kaepernick because he'd call them racist if they didn't. But as it turns out, he'll call them racist even if they do. You're racist if you do, racist if you don't. That's how it goes with guys like Kaepernick. Cap bailed on the workout, though, and instead held his own media event where he wore a shirt comparing himself to a slave, making him the highest paid slave in history, we must say, and he blasted the NFL and Roger Goodell, the commissioner. It was all a publicity stunt. They held the workout for him. He refused to go to it and then did his own event in front of the cameras where he was complaining about the NFL. Is that what you do? If you really want to play for the NFL, if you want a job in the NFL, is that what you do? They invited you to the workout. There are 25 scouts there. Show up, show them what you can do, demonstrate a little bit of professionalism and humility, and you get an offer, at least to try out for a team. But he didn't want to actually play. He still doesn't. He never did. He's a con man and a grifter, an actor playing a role, and we have to also say playing it pretty damned well. Give him credit for that. But NFL head coaches, they don't want actors on their sidelines. They want players. Colin Kaepernick is not a player and doesn't want to be one. He hasn't wanted to be one since he discovered how much money there was to be made pretending to be an activist. But there's another difference too, and this is important. Another difference between Tebow and Kaepernick. The fans love Tim Tebow. Almost everyone loves Tim Tebow. Lots of people hate Colin Kaepernick. Why is that? If you're a very stupid person, you've probably already shouted, "It's racism!" Because Tim Tebow, he's the white guy. That's why they like him. Except that the NFL is full of beloved black athletes. So it's obviously not that. The key difference, or one of the key differences, is gratitude. Both Tebow and Kaepernick have lived a blessed life. They're both wealthy and famous, and this country has treated them extraordinarily well. What people like about Tim Tebow is that he seems to be aware of this fact, and he exudes gratitude and humility because of it. He loves this country, and he's grateful for the opportunities that the country has afforded him. This is an attractive quality among all people. People root for that. People like to be around that kind of attitude. Kaepernick, on the other hand, is sullen, spoiled, ungrateful. This country has given him everything, but it's never enough. He always demands more. Not because he's earned it, but because he feels entitled to it. He's a self-victimizing drama queen, a rich, whiny, entitled complainer. Now, his fellow rich, whiny, entitled complainers in the media, they like that about him because they can relate to it. But it's not the kind of thing that normal people respect or want to root for. And it distresses normal people that this attitude is so common, that there is so little gratitude in this country. And it is especially absent among the people who should be the most displaying it. Gratitude. That is a virtue. That's a quality that we're losing in this country. And we need to regain. Tim Tebow versus Colin Kaepernick, perfect example as to why. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there so you can stay up to date on all of our future content.